I'm the Wolfman. Thank you for tuning in. So today I'm out and about, not too terribly far from the city, and I've come upon this little field area that has lots of growth in it. There is so many cool things here. Check this out. This is wild grape. The reason I'm here is to show you something really cool, the cattails, which are right over there beside me. So the first thing we need to do to go down to the cattails is actually go down to the cattails. So we're just going to head on in, being super careful on our way in, because I've got shorts on today. Not something I normally wear, but that's all right. I know I'm going to be getting in the muck, so let's head on down here. So I crossed over this little tiny waterway here to find this beautiful grove of cattails. Look at this. Now we're going to be able to use every single part of him, but the number one thing that we want to do is dig down here. We're going to pull out his root system. So I'm just going to take my hand and just jam it right in the ground, and I'm going to feel around inside to try to feel as much of the root system as possible. The more I get, the better off we're going to end up being. There we go. I'm just going to take his root part here. I'm just going to dip this in the water a few times, clean it and myself off. And look at that. A lot of great parts that we can use on this. So now I got this guy out here. I'm just going to take off all the stuff in the bottom. I have him all cleaned out, and I'm going to inspect his root system. Now the one thing I've noticed is his roots, this part here, this is white. And it's really important to make sure that they're a nice bright white color. If they're any other color, if they're red or anything like that, just something that looks off, you certainly would not want to ever try to eat anything like this. When I look around the base of his roots, there's these little tiny things that sometimes you can find that stick out, and they're called a corm. Now this guy doesn't seem to have any, but I'm sure some of the other specimens that we're going to collect, they'll definitely have those. These all cleaned off. One of the first things I'm going to notice is the corms, and that is these little thingies here, right there. And these corms are actually edible, so we can pull one of them off, and here it is here. So all I want to do to eat this, and it's filled with starch and all kinds of good things, is just give that, take all the shavings off of it and all of the stuff, and I can feel as I take it off, it gets a little drippy and squishy in my hand, and that's some of all the great goodness. Yeah, and they have a really cool taste to them. So you can just take these off, and you can just basically eat them just as they are, as long as you make sure that you take everything off of it. And again, being is the fact that I'm putting this in my body, it's so important that I make sure I have a good source for picking these, that there's no chemicals or anything from a farm or anything like that in them. Super, super important. So now that we have these, the next thing we're going to focus on is our roots. So the first thing we want to do here is we can just take these, we can just cut these off. Now we don't want to lose any of these root systems, because that's very, very important. I'm just going to put them on a table here. It's going to go a little faster. There we go. So we want to keep these because we're going to use these in a moment. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to take all of this off. If it doesn't come off with the knife, you can just peel it off with hands. Now don't break this stuff, because you're going to need it. We're going to use it for another project. So we're going to strip all of them off. We're just going to set them on the ground. And we're going to get right down to business here with all of this. And sometimes it can be a little challenging to get all of these things out, to get all of this stuff off. And you see when I dig my fingernail in it, I can hear that little ripping sound. There we go. That's just what I want, is to get rid of all of the stuff and expose a beautiful white inner core. There it is, right there. Look at that. Now the fact that I know this is good quality, again, like I was saying earlier, is this is white. If it's any other color, you don't want to eat it. So if I can go ahead here and I can take all of these apart, then I can saute these, and I can actually use them much as you would a piece of onion or something. And really, you only want to start until the white up until it starts to get a bit green. So I follow that maybe to about right there. I'm going to cut this guy right off. There we are. So that's the part here that I can saute and I can cook. Now when I separate this, as I said, I wouldn't recommend eating it unless you absolutely had to. You can see in here, look at that, like that fuzzy white stuff in there. That is the starch. That's really cool because you can use that for making bread. So now we've managed to take all of the leaves and stuff off these stalks. You can see I got a great pile here. But this isn't compost or waste. This is going to be great for natural cordage. Now it's not going to be the strongest of natural cordage, but you can take 3 long pieces here. I just have to look and sift through, see what I can find. There's that one, and let me see here. I'm going to get this guy here. There we are. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to start up at the top. I'm just going to give it a twist. And then I'm just going to start to braid it. I can, even because it's nice and flexible, go as far as to tie a gentle knot in this stuff. There we go, just like this. Now you'll notice if you do this yourself at home, it's a little sticky, and that's the starches inside. So now I've got my 3 parts, and we're going to start our braiding. So we're going to go this over this one, this over this one, and we're just basically going to keep this routine up while we braid it. And I'm just going to do a very quick braid here so you can see sort of how it's going to come along. This would be great for making shelters or anything that you need to tie stuff down. Now I can pull on it. I mean, I can hear the fibers start to break, and I can put quite a lot of pressure on there, enough that it's really not that easy to break, if I can break it at all. Ugh, look at that. That is a pretty good cordage that I made from scratch, from something that I'm going to have to eat. So now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this guy off. And these are useful for so many different things. So sometimes, depending on the time of year, you can just grab this and you can pull that right off like a hot dog on a stick. The time of year that I have these are still wet. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to twist them. And as I twist them, I can hear them breaking up inside. I don't know if the camera picks that up. And now that I've twisted them, I'm just going to open them right up. Look at that. And now I can just take this guy clean off. And as I'm removing him, I'm noticing, look at all this fluff. Now imagine if you needed this fluff for something, all the amazing uses that you can use this for. As I take this off, the first thing that comes to mind is what's inside a down jacket. Insulation. This is superb insulation. Look how light and fluffy. Look at it just flying around as I'm talking. This is amazing insulation. Break it up, put it between 2 t-shirts or 2 shirts, you are going to be warm. What else uses insulation? Couch cushions. If you're in a survival situation and you're making a shelter, you can pack this on the ground. You can lay on top of it. You can put something else over top of it, like a bed of leaves or something like that. This will make amazing amounts of bedding. And if you think of what else is nice and light, is cattail fires. So this stuff, if you dry this out in the sunlight, and you can have a place where you can put it and it's not going to blow away as it is right now, as soon as it gets dry, you can throw a coal or a spark on this and this stuff will ignite like nothing else. So that's yet another use for that. So there's all kinds of uses for this stuff in itself.